How's it going, everyone, and welcome to Dex Prime. I'm Dividable, and today we'll be going through an in-depth dive of all the known Pokemon based on their Pokedex entry. We'll be covering everything from the in-game Dex entries, where they originated, the Pokemon statistics, current popular moves, builds, abilities and weaknesses, and resistance, to notable appearances within the anime, manga, and how to acquire them in different games, as well as the TCG cards and rare collectibles. Now buff your shells and let's slide into this video as we'll be talking about number 7's entry, Squirtle. Squirtle is a small turtle-like Pokemon. While typically seen to stand and walk on its two legs, it is capable of running on all four legs as shown in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It has two large magenta-colored eyes and a curled upper lip, with a light blue skin. Both hands and feet have three-pointed claw-like fingers and toes, and a large curled tail. Squirtle has a shell that encases its body, and the shell has a brown top and a yellow bottom, and a white stripe that divides the two halves. The shell is very useful. Squirtle is able to hide itself inside, whether it's to protect itself or even to just sleep. It also helps Squirtle swim faster in water. Squirtles can be found near small ponds and lakes, but are typically hard to find and rarely ever seen out in the wild. Squirtle is the first stage of its evolutionary line. It evolves into Wartortle at level 16 and Blastoise at level 36. Shiny Squirtle has a few distinct changes to its look. It changes into a lighter blue as its eyes change from a magenta color-like to a more light pink. Squirtle's shell also changes from brown to green, and its underbelly goes to a slightly brighter yellow. A very interesting fact you probably did not know about Squirtle is its shell isn't a shell it finds randomly. In the Dex entry for Pokemon Red and Blue, it states, after birth, its back swells and hardens into a shell, meaning that its shell grows from its body and it's permanently attached to it. A more well-known fact is how Squirtle retreats into its shell, which is supported by the Dex entry from Pokemon Crystal and states, when it feels threatened, it draws its legs inside its shell and sprays water from its mouth. Now we can't have a Squirtle video without talking about the number 1 team in the animated series. No, not Team Rocket. I'm referring to none other than the Squirtle Squad. The Squirtle Squad debuted in episode number 12, Here Comes the Squirtle Squad. They were a group of Squirtles who were all abandoned by their trainers and who would commit small crimes in a small town in Kanto. From stealing to graffiti, but most often they would cause troubles to any new travelers who would come to visit the town. In the episode, Meowth convinced the squad to help Team Rocket capture Ash's Pikachu. However, during Ash's chase to get him back, Pikachu got terribly injured from a wild Goldeen. From the incident, Ash convinced the squad to let him go into town to get a super potion to help Pikachu, with the condition that Ash had to return by noon the next day, or the squad would dye in Misty's hair. He does make it back in time, but after healing Pikachu, Team Rocket comes back and bombs the squad, causing a forest fire. Everyone retreated to the Squirtle Squad's cave to evade the fire, but the leader of the squad ended up getting flipped on his back and was unable to move. Ash then runs back to help him, and with the aid of him and the Squirtles, they are able to send Team Rocket blasting off again, and proceed to put out the fire. Thus, for their actions in helping putting out the fire, Officer Jenny made them the town's firefighters, while the leader of the Squirtle Squad decides to join Ash on his journey. Later in Pokemon Series Gold and Silver, for the episode The Firing Squad, Ash's Squirtle decides to rejoin the squad after beating a group of Wartortles in a firefighting competition. A perfect end to Squirtle's journey with Ash. Another honorable mention is Blue Squirtle from Pokemon Origins. In the first episode, File 1, Red, Squirtle was one of the 3 starter Pokemon that Oak gave the boys to choose for their first partner. Blues chose Squirtle to counter Red's Charmander. Later in the episode, outside Viridian City, Blue and Red have a battle between themselves to see which Pokemon is stronger. It was an overwhelming victory in Blue's favor, and after the battle he insults Red and tells him he's not ready to train Pokemon and should just go back to Pallet Town. For Generation 1 in Pokemon Red and Blue, Squirtle is one of the 3 starters that you can choose from Professor Oak's lab at the beginning of the game. In Pokemon Yellow, you can also receive a Squirtle from Officer Jenny in Vermilion City after defeating Lieutenant Surge and winning the Thunder Badge. In Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal games, you could only attain Squirtle in a machine called the Time Capsule, which is found in any Pokemon Center. The Time Capsule can only be activated after meeting Bill in Ecruteak City. For Generation 3, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and Pokemon Emerald and Colosseum XD, Gale of Darkness, the only way you could obtain Squirtle is through trade. In Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, it's one of the 3 starters you receive from Professor Oak. For Pearl, Diamond, and Platinum in Generation 4, you can only obtain the Pokemon through trade. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Squirtle is given to you as a choice of one of the Kanto starters by Professor Oak after defeating Red on Mount Silver. For Generation 5, it's only possible to get Squirtle through trade from the Global Link in Black and White, and with the Poke Transfer in Black 2 and White 2. In Gen 6, in the games X and Y, Squirtle is one of the 3 potential Pokemon given to you by Professor Sycamore in Luminous City after beating him. So all you need to do is pick Squirtle or try to get one through trade. In Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, Squirtle was attainable through the 2016 World Championship Bulbasaur event or via global trade. In Generation 7 Sun and Moon, Squirtle is only attainable through trade. However, in the games Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you could find them in the Seaward Cavern using the Island Scan. Moving on to Let's Go games, Squirtle could be gifted by Officer Jenny in Vermilion City after catching 60 Pokemon. If you get the expansion pass in Generation 8, once you complete the Mustard's first trial, you'll be presented with a choice between Bulbasaur or Squirtle, who both have the Gigantamax factor. It is also available through trade, Pokemon Home, or the Gigantamax raids with all the wild area news. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, there's a chance it could be found within the Grand Underground, Fountain Spring Cave, Riverbank Cave, Stillwater Cavern, after obtaining the National Deck. Squirtle can only be attained through trade in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet unless you purchase the DLC, the Hidden Treasure of Area 0, as of which you can find it in the Canyon biome after boosting the biome's biodiversity. In Pokemon Go, you can typically find Squirtle near water, like by lakes, rivers, or in coastal areas. You can also obtain one through in-game events, or as a possible reward from certain research tasks. Squirtle is a base water-type Pokemon. Due to this typing, it receives half of the damage from Steel, Fire, Water, and Ice-type moves. However, it means that it is weak to Grass and Electric-type moves, receiving double the damage from them. Squirtle has 2 possible abilities, the base ability Torrent and the hidden ability Rain Dish. Torrent is an ability that boosts the attack and special attack of a Pokemon by 50% if the user has less than or equal to 1/3 of its max HP, and if the move is using its water type attacks. A good ability if you want to build a hard-hitting water type. Rain Dish is an ability that makes a Pokemon regain 1/16 of its maximum HP at the end of every turn, but only while it's raining. This is a very handy ability when paired with Squirtle's high defense stats. At level 1, Squirtle has 314 base stat points with 44 HP, 48 attack, 65 defense, 50 special attack, 64 special defense, 43 speed. At level 50 with proper EVs, IVs, and nature, its max stats can be 151 HP, 110 attack, 128 defense, 112 special attack, 127 special defense, 104 speed. And at level 100 it has 292 HP, 214 attack, 251 defense, 218 special attack, 249 special defense, 203 speed. A decent build I recommend for Squirtle is to build it for survivability and support, and to pair it with a more defensive team to maximize its efficiency. The moves you'll want are Rapid Spin, a low power move used to clear more hazards, binding, and Leech Seed. Ice Punch, a useful for countering potential grass type threats. Waterfall, with the base power and 100% accuracy, it is the best STAB move should have to deal out damage. Fake Out, the highest priority move that guarantees its opponents will flinch and gives basically a free hit. It is also handy if your opponent has very low HP and you need to finish it off. You will want Squirtle to have its Torrent ability. An Eviolite, which is an ability item that boosts the defense and special defense by 1.5 times if the holder's Pokemon still has a higher evolutionary stage. Or a Citrus Berry, which can restore 25% of a Pokemon's HP if it gets to its half max health. For Eevee spread, try to give it a decent mix and focus with either a high defense or special defense, as well as decently high speed so it's not too slow. It should also have a nature that boosts one of its defense stats and doesn't hinder its attack or speed. Now for the TCG cards, we'll go over the top 3 current Squirtle cards on the market. At number 1 we have the Squirtle 1999 Pokemon game number 63, a first edition card in PSA 10 condition. This has a current market value of $880. At number 2, we have Squirtle 2002 Japanese McDonald's E Minimum Pack, number 7, Holo Card, PSA 10 condition. This has a current market value of $850. And finally at number 3, we have the Squirtle 2002 Expedition, number 131-165 Reverse Holo Card in a PSA 10 condition. This has a current market value of $380. Finally, I'd like to thank all the listed sites that were used to find all the information given in this video. A lot of effort was put into them, and if there's anything you want to know that wasn't mentioned in this video, whether it's general information, competitive strategies, or anything else that you would need, I'll put a link down in the description and would recommend paying them a visit. Thanks to everyone who made it through this video. Please like and subscribe as we'll attempt to go through every single Pokemon in the Pokedex, and before you know it, we'll be discussing one of your favorite Pokemon. Until then, this is Dex Prime, signing off.